Welcome to this week's Who the Folk podcast. I'm Lonnie Goldsmith, the editor of TC Jewfolk. And Happy New Year, everybody. This is the final Who the Folk podcast of 2019. Thank you, everybody who has listened to us all year and shared and subscribed and rated and reviewed. We really appreciate the support that you've given us. This year, for our final episode of the year, we're bringing to you our Community Resource Guide edition of the podcast. As you may remember on Give to the Max Day, we did Facebook Live videos with different community representatives from agencies all across the Twin Cities, and we also audio recorded those portions as well, and we have compiled it into a podcast for you to learn about everyone who came in and talked about their organizations and what their agency, synagogue, community group, camp, etc. does for the Twin Cities Jewish community. So please listen and enjoy. Thank you very much for your support again this year. We really appreciate it. And without further ado, Sarah Bogomolny, our community engagement manager, and myself take turns interviewing the folks who came in on Give to the Max Day back in November. Thanks again for the support you've given us this year. We really appreciate it. Who am I joined? Who are you, and where do you work, and what do you do?
Yeah, good morning. My name's Ruth Hampton Olcon, and I'm the CEO of Jewish Family Service of St. Paul.
And for those who don't know, give us a sort of quick overview of the agency and what it is you do for the community.
Yeah, thank you. So we are the social service agency for the Jewish community of St. Paul and Greater St. Paul, and we also, of course, serve the Greater St. Paul community through a variety of really key services.
So what does community engagement mean for you in JFS?
Yeah, I love that question.
Thank you.
It actually, everything we do is about engagement and connecting with our community. Every single action, including sitting here with you today, because that's our purpose, is to be connected, to support community needs, to support individual needs. So every interaction is a way to build those connections between us, individuals who might need services, individuals who might want to volunteer their time, their talents, their money.
We're here with Shirley and Jeff from Shalom. I don't know if Shirley, you want to speak, or Jeff, about what Shalom does, what the programs are like, how does it feel to be a resident?
We provide all full levels of care, full continuum of care for seniors in the community. Nursing care, long-term care, independent living, assisted living, full range of things. Shirley, why don't you say where you live and what you're
I live at Reutenberg, which is, I do like it when someone says, how do you like living at Reutenberg? If I couldn't be in my own apartment, Reutenberg comes close.
Good.
And I thank Jeff for asking me to be here with him, and it's a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. I hear from Jeff that you love canasta.
I do. It's it makes your brain work. And when you get to be a little more mature, sometimes there's problems. So I try to alleviate that.
Well, you're very sharp.
My kids would love to hear you say that. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
But Reutenberg it's living in your own apartment. I do as I want. I have aides that help me. Meals are 3 meals a day. Polish stays on for 3 weeks at a time. But it's a great place to be. It's friendly. Jeff is a good example of that.
Thank you.
It's just, it's in every place. Knollwood Place is wonderful for people that don't need the care that I need. Shalom is there for other needs. But it's a great, great place to be. And do I love it? I like it. I'm well taken care of. And that's what I like. I can do as I please, and if I need help, I have it.
That's wonderful.
All right, we are here with NCJW Minnesota Executive Director Beth Gendler and Board President Laura Mon Ginsberg. Welcome.
Thank
Hi
you.
there.
So for those who don't know, tell everyone a little bit about NCJW Minnesota, what kind of work you do, what kind of emphasis you have.
We would love to. So we are super, super old.
You can't tell it by my
I
fresh
know,
face. I
I
use a
know.
really good serum, but
We have been around for 125 years, and don't we look fabulous?
You do.
Our mission is to improve the quality of life for women, children, and families, and we do that through a program of direct service that builds equity in the community. We do social justice policy advocacy, and we do leadership development programming to prepare women and our allies to be leaders for change. So locally, we have some really great direct service programming involving literacy, reading books to kids in St. Paul and doing some literacy work there, providing weekend food support for families in need in Minneapolis. And then our policy priorities this year are reproductive freedom in partnership with the Unrestrict Minnesota campaign, gun violence prevention, and education equity.
That's a lot.
It
That's a
is.
lot of those. Those are. It's not just a lot. Those are big areas of priority.
yes.
They are. Our goal is to change, really to break down systems of poverty and oppression and to make change in the world.
Yeah.
Hi, we're back. We're live now with Michael Waldman, CEO of the St. Paul and Sabis JCC, continuing our Give to the Max extravaganza, interviewing all sorts of representatives from our Jewish community organizations. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So please tell us a little bit about what you do, about the JCC, anything you'd like to share on that front.
Yeah, well, I'm the CEO of both the St. Paul JCC and the Sabis JCC. The JCCs are a community organization that provides services from everyone from the youngest to the very oldest members of our community, open to everyone through early childhood programming, summer camp, fitness, cultural arts programming, inclusion programming, senior programming, and everything that you could want in a Jewish organization.
Pretty amazing.
We love it.
I would ask you for a favorite, but you're probably not allowed to have one.
A favorite?
Program?
Oh, boy. A favorite program. Well, my start was in summer camp, so that's kind of where my heart is, but they're all so great. And, my kids have been part of the early childhood. My grandparents have been part of the senior programming, and there's a lot of pride in everything we do.
Fabulous.
We're back. We are with Hannah and Leah from Sha'arim.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks
So,
for having us.
Tell us a little bit about what Sha'arim does in the community here.
Okay, well, we are a centralized agency in the Jewish community. We're an inclusion organization, and we work with children and adults with special needs and challenges, and we offer educational opportunities in some of our mainstream Jewish educational programs. We offer a self-contained or side-stream Jewish educational program for children and informal education for adults, and then a bunch of social recreational activities through our Friends and Fun program. And more recently, we started vocational training and an employment opportunity through our Gateways Thrift Shop program.
That's
a lot,
That's
right?
a lot.
Yes.
So
We do a lot.
You do a lot. Is it hard to do that much and have your focus be that spread for what's not a huge organization?
Well, thankfully, we like to think of ourselves as divided into 4 lanes.
Okay.
We have our partner schools, we have our Darkenu, our Way program, we have our Friends and Fun social programming, and then we have our vocational training thrift shop program. And thankfully, we have amazing people, right, at the head of each one of
Really
those,
incredible.
each one of those departments, and really driving. They're actually the driving force behind each one of them. I just kind of stand in the back and say, "Yay, yay!"
She's very humble. She makes it all happen.
But so we're really blessed with an incredible staff of people that really work hard in their areas. Obviously, they collaborate, and just like you change lanes, on the highway, and you indicate, of course.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So we have everybody working together and doing that as well.
And it doesn't really feel like so spread thin, because the way we look at it is the whole life cycle of a person. We're here to be inclusion for any individual in the community. So we have programs that span the entire life cycle. So for us, it's not about being in all these different places with all these different things. It's about how do we support this individual from the moment we meet them until the moment we'll meet them again. So it's
Nicely
really
said.
about.
Wow, yeah.
I try. This live thing is really intense. No, but it's really about considering their whole life. So that's how we approach our programming. So
For us, it's more of like whether you're 5, 15, or 45 or 55, and if you want something educational, social, you're looking for some kind of meaningful employment, the fact that you have a challenge or a disability should not exclude you from the Jewish community. So reach out to us, and we're going to make it work. We're going to find a way to help you be a part of the Jewish community. If that's what you want, then just like anybody else, that's what you should have the opportunity for. So that's really where our focus is. So while within our organization we put it into lanes, but overarching, it's about the person. It's very person-centered, and what you need is what we're going to try to do for you. And that's how we've actually grown over the past 21 years. We're listening to what people in the community need and want, and that's how we're growing this organization. It's based on the people that reach out to us.
All right, we are here with Ilan Snelnikov of Students Supporting Israel. Ilan, tell everyone a little bit about what SSI is and what how you guys operate as an organization.
For sure, yeah. So thank you for having us. Students Supporting Israel started in 2012 at the University of Minnesota as a student club. When there was a big apartheid week, there was a big operation in Gaza. And unfortunately, those operations in Gaza don't stop 7 years later either. But our goal was to be a visible organization, to be strongly in support of Israel, to be open not just for Jewish students, but an organization that can have everyone on board. And we started growing slowly on campus, and 7 years later, we now operate all over the country on over 50 locations in the United States and Canada.
How much growth are you hoping that the organization has? Are there any campus areas that you're not in that you're hoping to grow within?
Absolutely. So just yesterday, 2 clubs joined us. We got Michigan State starting an SSI chapter, and we actually started a high school club at Hopkins High School here in Minnesota. So we're going to have some high schoolers doing some Israel work in their school. It's never enough to educate their peers. And we actually have, we're in talks right now with 11 different schools across the country about joining SSI as well. So all the way on the West Coast, from the UC system to Brandeis University to TCU in Texas and the York University in Canada. So we're talking to schools all over the country. We have
international.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have more of them join.
Well, excellent. Thanks for joining us.
For sure. Thank you for having us.
And we are back with Dana Rubin from Jewish Family Children's Service in Minneapolis. Hi, Dana.
Hi, Lonnie.
Welcome back. You joined us last year for this, too.
I did. It was a lot of fun. I'm glad to be back this year.
Excellent. So, for those who don't know, tell the people a little bit about JFCS, what it is, who you work with.
Great. So, Jewish Family and Children's Service is one of the largest social service providers in the western suburbs. We have been in existence since 1910, predating, actually, the United Way. And we serve people of all ages and all backgrounds. And that's really important to us, that we really serve the entire community. We support people in kind of 4 basic areas: mental health support services, career services, community services, which is where a lot of our Jewish programs lie, and senior services. And within that, there's 30 to 35 programs that we have in our available to the community.
So 110 years,
Yes.
that's a long...
It's a long time.
That's a long time for an organization. How has the mission sort of evolved over those years as the community has changed?
Sure. So in 1910, we were really founded based on immigration to the United States. People were coming here for a better life, and when people came to the United States in 1910, they needed support. They needed food and clothing and work and things like that. So we started really as an immigration absorption organization, and since then it's evolved greatly. We still do that type of work, and we still did that type of work again when the Russian Jews were resettled in Minnesota. But we've evolved to things like, in the 70s, things like adoption and infertility services. And then now we're seeing a lot more of focused like mental health support services, more career services and things like that. So that's where it's evolved.
Well, it's great that the organization seems to very much be sort of flexible and able to change with the times and to evolve. That's the word I'm looking for, evolve.
Absolutely.
Hello, we are live again. I am joined by Max Davis with Congregation Darchei Noam. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. And I would love if you could just take a moment to tell us a little bit about your organization.
Sure. So Congregation Darchei Noam is approximately 14 years old, and we're located in St. Louis Park. It is a modern Orthodox congregation with a relatively brand new building. We've been in the synagogue there for 6 years, and there's a great energy. It's a vibrant kind of a shul, and if you walk in there on an average Shabbat morning, you'll see a whole bunch of strollers parked in the lobby, and people of all ages and backgrounds and affiliations are welcome at Darchei Noam. So it's an honor to be a part of this institution.
Ted Flom, CEO of St. Paul Federation. How are you?
Excellent, thank you.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So we were sort of joking right before we started that you joined us last year, but you're in a whole new organization this year.
I am.
Tell us a little bit about the St. Paul Jewish Federation.
Well, the St. Paul Jewish Federation has been established 85 years ago when members of the Jewish community came together and said, we want to make sure we have a vibrant, viable, engaging, inspiring Jewish community, and let's coordinate our efforts and build a Jewish community here in St. Paul. And very, very proud that over the course of these many years, we've raised millions of dollars that we've allocated to local agencies to make sure that St. Paul is strong and vibrant.
How, I gotta imagine this is a challenge everywhere, is that as sort of the world has changed, the community has changed, the community becomes a little more assimilated over the generations.
Yeah.
How does Federation adapt, to sort of keep pace with that?
Yeah, I think every generation has posed its challenges, and federations have had to adjust to those. But looking at Jewish history, the one things that have made the Jewish people really able to survive over 2,000 years in the diaspora is our ability to come together as a people, as a community, to care for one another. Without that, Jewish communities are threatened, are assaulted, and eventually they wither. That's the importance of having a central organization that can bring the community together, as well as adapt to new circumstances and situations.
Now we're joined by Tzvi and Mindy from the Minneapolis JSU and NCSY, so welcome.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for being here. So why don't you take a moment and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Okay, so Minneapolis NCSY is a chapter of the youth group of the Orthodox Union that aims to empower and inspire Jewish teens to lead more passionate Jewish lives. What makes us unique is that we're not synagogue-based. And although much of our staff is Orthodox, we work with teens from across the religious spectrum, completely unaffiliated through modern Orthodox, different backgrounds, different youth groups, really helping to try to break down barriers and to help promote a sense of Jewish unity and community. Studies show that many teens kind of drop their Jewish education and Jewish involvement after their bar and bat mitzvah years. And really the teen years are so important as they're developing their sense of identity. And teens that are more engaged in their Judaism during their teen years are more likely to lead passionate and vibrant lives, Jewish lives as adults. So we really work to provide creative and innovative programming both on a social and educational level to help engage the teens and to help provide them with some sort of programming that will be meaningful to them. One of our most popular programming, and that's where we get into the JSU, which stands for Jewish Student Union, is our JSU clubs, where we provide Judaism that's not only very meaningful, but also very attainable for the teens. We go into the different public high schools. We're currently in, I believe, 7 high schools in the Twin Cities, and always looking into more. And these are student-run Jewish culture clubs where they're open to Jews and non-Jews. And we work with the teen leaders of the clubs to provide exciting programming, Jewish programming of topics that they're interested in, holiday programming or Jewish topics or whatever it may be that they want to talk about. And we go into the schools, so we meet them and we show them that we're willing to meet them at their level, both on a physically where they are, and also spiritually where they're holding. And what's fantastic about it is that because it's JSU and they just identify it as Jew Club, they don't feel like they're being disloyal to their youth groups. So many of our JSU club presidents are the presidents of their youth clubs as well. So we really help bring teens together, and then we run many other JSU programming as well off of school grounds. We have dinner and learns and ice cream and inspirations at local Ben and Jerry's, and we have chapter conventions, and then we have once a year we do a big JSU trip out of town. This year over President's Day weekend we are going to New Orleans. We're running a social action trip, and these are very heavily subsidized trips. It's we're looking to make the price $300. It might be $400, all inclusive, including airfare and hotel for 4 to 5 days in New Orleans. We'll be volunteering with Habitat for Humanity and Greenlight, and these are kids coming from different schools and different youth groups, and they're all coming kind of under this banner of JSU, so it really helps bring them together. And that's really what we work to do. And then lastly, and then if you have any questions, of course we have many different summer programs. NCSY and JSU has about 20 different summer programs, but we do have our flagship program, which is called TJJ, which is the Jerusalem Journey, and that's a 4-week program in Israel, tours the entire Israel. Fantastic program, and while most summer programs are $8,000 or $9,000, including most of our programs, this program is available for Minneapolis teens for $2,000, and that's including airfare from New York, and that's before any of the Federation scholarships. So we really try to provide as many low-barrier engagement, Jewish opportunities for teens to be engaged.
We are back, and we are with Yossi Bendit from the Lubavitch Cheder Day School in St. Paul. How are you, Yossi?
Thank God, very well. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, thanks. For people who don't know, tell us a little bit about Lubavitch Cheder.
Well, hard to believe that anybody would know. No, I'm kidding. Cheder is around for about 43 years, serving the entire Twin Cities, located in St. Paul. Dual curriculum, Jewish Day School, served usually between 75 and 120 children, depending, throughout the years. And, super happy place, super exciting place.
What grades?
Toddlers all the way through 8th.
Okay.
Yes. So it's started off with day school and then grew backwards, preschool, and then eventually added toddlers, and we're actually working on infants right now.
Wow.
So we're close to having that, launching that.
That'll be a nice ad for the community, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
That,
yeah, we feel like it would be a great way for families to initiate and become involved, and definitely a need for that. So,
excellent.
Big undertaking, but we're excited.
So I'm joined now by Shai Avni from Mount Zion Temple, here to talk about the organization.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Thank you for having us. Yeah, so Mount Zion. You want to know about Mount Zion? Mount Zion, we are the first synagogue in Minnesota, actually. 1856.
Oh, wow.
St. Paul, yep, we are a Reform synagogue. We have lots of going on in our synagogue, the religious school, the caring community, MZ small groups. This is something new that we doing in the past year, and it's making our community much stronger. Yep.
Pretty amazing. So you have been around since 1856, you said?
Not me, personally, but Mount Zion, yeah.
That is super impressive.
Yeah.
We're back. We are here with Natan Paradise, the director of...
Associate.
Associate. I didn't mean to promote you.
Thanks for the promotion. It's great.
The associate director of the Center for Jewish Studies at the University of Minnesota. Welcome to our Give to the Max Day show, and thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So tell us a little bit about the Center for Jewish Studies at the U and what it does, what type of courses it offers and programs it runs.
Okay. So the Center for Jewish Studies at the University of Minnesota, although not a Jewish organization per se, is a premier center for the study of Jewish history and cultures from ancient times until today.
Okay.
And so we provide courses for undergraduate students, and we provide intellectual and financial support for graduate students who are interested in Jewish studies.
Okay.
We don't have a program at the graduate level ourselves, but many graduate students in other departments do work with us.
Okay.
And then we have 23 faculty and 3 visiting faculty who are all engaged in the study of Jewish history and cultures and trying to come up with new knowledge and accurate knowledge about everything people want to know about things Jewish.
That's a lot of staff. How many are there a lot of students who major in Jewish studies?
So we do offer both undergraduate major and minor.
Oh, okay.
And we have about 24 students who've committed to the major or the minor.
Okay.
But there are many, many more students who take our courses.
Okay.
And of those students, a good number of them are Jewish, and a greater number of them are not Jewish.
So are there so the people who take courses then typically are, if they have like a hole in the schedule and they're looking to gain some interest, or is it something that can work with another major or another course of study that they're doing?
So I asked this question of my students.
Okay.
One of the courses I teach in the fall is Introduction to Jewish History and Cultures. And I always ask them, why are you in this class?
Yeah.
And some of them are in it because they're thinking about a Jewish studies major or minor. Some of them are in the course because they need a general education requirement, and this one sounded fascinating. Some of them are in the course because they've grown up with Jewish friends and have always been more interested. Some of them are in the course because although they're majoring in other things, they want to go on to become Jewish educators, or go on to the rabbinate, or learn how to be a chazan. And our curriculum provides a good foundation for that. Some of them are just curious.
And Jewish history, I mean, we go back a long way, so that's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, and in my course we do 4,000 years of history in one semester. It's a little crazy.
It's a lot of ground to cover in a few months.
I tell them it's the teaser course. I want them to leave my course with more questions than answers. And then I show them what else we're teaching, and hopefully they'll go on to take more courses in our curriculum. Some of them will then go on to become majors or minors.
Now we have Marisa Gage joining us from the Minneapolis Jewish Federation here. Welcome, Marisa.
Thank you. It is such a pleasure to be here.
So we'd love if you could just share a little bit about yourself, your role at the organization, and then all about the Minneapolis Jewish Federation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. My name is Marisa Gage, and I am Federation's research manager. So I have a twofold job there. Part of it is to look at research that comes out about our Jewish community, our Jewish organizations, national and local trends. You may have heard that there's a population study going on. If you've been contacted, please fill it out, and we'd love to share with you guys those results in the late spring. And then secondly, I staff our Caring Community Committee. And that is something that is very near and dear to my heart. And what I love about it is that it's the Federation Committee that asks the question, what do members of a community owe to one another? How do we support one another? That is pretty much my job. And I can speak a bit about what Federation does. Federation's goal is to empower, engage, and inspire our Jewish community, and there are so many different ways to do that. You've heard from a whole bunch of organizations that are doing just that, but our niche is philanthropy. We are the Center for Jewish Philanthropy in Minneapolis, and part of what we do is, of course, raise money to give out to our local Jewish organizations, but also provide incentives for ingenuity, entrepreneurship, innovation in the community. And we do that through providing our donors with a whole bunch of philanthropic options, whether it's being able to write a check or give a little bit of money, just like we're raising today on Give to the Max, or to look into our foundation, look into a donor-advised fund, look into ways that you can support our community and the organizations that you love, maybe even after you pass on. So all sorts of different options, lots of fun things. JewishMinneapolis.org.
We are here now with Chazan Jeremy Lipton at the head of school for Talmud Torah St. Paul, Talmud Torah Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, you got to get that one right.
Talmud Torah Minneapolis. Sandy Sondel, Steve Gilfix, the co-presidents of the board of Talmud Torah Minneapolis. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, for those who don't know, tell us a little bit about Talmud Torah Minneapolis and what the program is all about.
So, Talmud Torah of Minneapolis is a community supplemental school that serves students from all over the Twin Cities area. It's 125 years old. We provide, our mission statement is that we provide students and their families with the tools for intentional Jewish living. And we are very excited about the programs that we have, about what our students learn, about the experiential learning that happens both in the school and out of the school, and it's a wonderful place for Jewish kids to connect with each other and connect with their heritage and to really use it as a springboard to become part of the community.
So 125 years, the school's obviously gone through some, it has evolved over that time. It's now housed here at the Sabis JCC, just down the hall from our offices here. And now it's 2nd through 8th grade school?
Correct.
And you mentioned the experiential Jewish learning. How is that? Feels very sort of new and buzzwordy.
Well, it is new and buzzwordy, but we want our students not only to have book learning, but we want them to not only talk the talk but walk the walk.
Sure.
I think that's what we all want for our students. I'll give you 2 examples of experiential programs, with 3 examples actually of experiential programs. One is coming up just in about a week and a half. Our 6th grade students, they learn about writing a Sefer Torah. They learn about the Torah service because they're all preparing for a bar and bat mitzvah. One of the things that they do is they create their own yad, their own Torah pointer. They design it. They research what that is. Many of them focus on their names as part of that design or the parsha. But that's something that turns their internal learning into an external experience. 2 other experiences that we have that are really high points of our 7th and 8th grade years. So we're talking about our middle school. Our 7th graders focus on a whole year about Jewish identity. Where do I fit in the world as a secular person, as a Jewish person? And we culminate that experience by taking a trip to New York City. Where else will you find 1.1 million Jews in a city, 13% of the population of the city itself, and the students get to see themselves through this magnificent, crazy place, but also to really immerse themselves in Jewish experiences there beyond what they experience here. And finally, in our 8th grade year, the year focuses on both Holocaust studies and Israel studies, and the students take a trip to Washington, D.C., to the Holocaust Memorial. And so they self-direct those things that they're going to be studying about. They study about them, and then they serve as docents, and they actually embrace what D.C. has to experience through the Jewish lens.
And we are back. I'm standing here right now with Sally Abrams and Susie Greenberg of the JCRC of Minnesota and the Dakotas. So we'd love to get started just by having you give us an introduction to what is the JCRC and how do you serve our Twin Cities Jewish community.
Okay, well,
Thank you. Go ahead.
The JCRC is the public affairs voice of the Jewish community. We are involved in education, both on Judaism, on Israel, big on Holocaust education, lobbying on behalf of the interests of the Jewish community and also on behalf of the interests of some of our interfaith partners. We are about relationships. So the relationships that we build among communities in the Twin Cities, among our interfaith partners, among elected officials. And if I didn't say community security once, I'm going to say it a second time.
Great. Thank you.
We also build outside of the Twin Cities, too. A lot of our educational endeavors lead us outside of the metro area as well.
Can you tell us a little bit more about those?
Sure. So Sally and I, along with Holly Broadfarber, are the 3 co-chairs of our Speakers Bureau. I'll talk about a Holocaust education arm, and Sally can talk about the other pieces right now.
All right, so we have 3 part-time staff people that run a program that puts speakers in front of audiences all over the Twin Cities and well beyond it, into outstate Minnesota and even sometimes into the Dakotas. We did over 500 presentations last year, reaching thousands and thousands of people. We speak on Judaism, we speak on Israel, we speak on the Holocaust, we speak on anti-Semitism, and sometimes we speak on a combination or a particular topic that was requested by the venue. For instance, last week, one of our just finest speakers was requested in November to do a Passover Seder for a Catholic private school.
Oh,
That's where it fit in their curriculum, so she went, and it was, we just read the feedback. It was amazing. So when people, we're all justifiably concerned right now about anti-Semitism, and you can't read anything about it without people advising that one of the most important tools we have in combating anti-Semitism is education. And that's what we're doing every time one of our speakers enters a classroom, enters a church, or enters a civic group like Rotary or some other civic venue, community education. We are telling our story. And we are aggressive about asking for the opportunity to tell the story. We get many, many, many invitations to come back, but we are out there asking, hundreds of teachers and church leaders and others to invite us in. And so while we operate a very lean and efficient program and on a tight budget, it doesn't operate on nothing. I mean, it costs something to have this kind of impact on the larger community. And in many cases, when we go to speak, especially at a school, and I'm not talking about 2 hours from the Twin Cities, I'm talking about even on the fringes of the metro, you can ask the students, raise your hand if I'm the first Jewish person you've ever met, and most of the hands will go up.
Yeah.
It's not that there's hostility to Judaism. They don't know. Why would they know? How would they know? They don't know.
So a few years ago, the Claims Conference did a research study and determined that 67% of millennials didn't know what Auschwitz was. So the good news is that we're finding, though, is that people are wanting to get educated. And as Sally said, for example, I think this is our third or fourth year in a row, we've sent speakers to Windham, Minnesota, which is a few hours away. And when it's a few third-generation speakers that we send there. We have third-generation, fourth-generation, second-generation, and survivors that are part of our Speakers Bureau for Holocaust Education. And they did that. They walked in and they said, who here has met a Jewish person? And for the third year in a row, they've still been the only Jews in the whole city. They go to lunch and they say, "Oh, you're the Jews from the city," but really with open arms. Yeah. So that's the good news, that people are really interested. And in particular, this school in Windham has sent their teacher with the JCRC. We do an annual trip to the Holocaust Museum in D.C. and that
the whole
teacher,
plane load of people that go.
We charter a plane, we take 180 people, and that teacher went with us and saw the need and embraced it and really has utilized some of the resources that we've had available.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible.
There's all sorts of ways that you can assess the impact of doing these kinds of presentations. And as I said, often when we go to a school, we're the first Jewish person they've ever met. They don't know very much about Judaism. They know even less about Israel. And we'll go and do sometimes one presentation after another for an entire day, from first block through sixth block or whatever. One person repeating over and over. How do you measure the impact of something like that? We will stand by the door as the kids exit and say, I want every student to tell me one new thing that he or she learned today. And that's where I know what I said, we know what we said, but now we know what was heard.
Right.
And that's where we hear things like, I didn't realize how the roots of Christianity were begun inside of Judaism. I didn't even know Jesus was Jewish or what that meant. I didn't realize or know how many sincere efforts Israel's made on behalf of peace, to make peace. I didn't know, I learned, and one after the other, they will tell me, or any of the speakers, they'll tell us astonishing things that they take away.
We also, a lot of our speakers often get thank you notes. The teachers have the students write thank you notes. And we often hear from them, from their voice, that they have learned the importance of being an upstander and what an impact that has made and how they've even, done that in their days since and what the importance of that.
That's amazing and very beautiful work that you guys do at the JCRC. We are back, joined now by Artie Dorman from Congregation Or Emet, here to represent the congregation as the director of the Jewish Cultural School. Did I get that right?
That's totally right. Thank
awesome.
you.
Okay. So, Artie, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sarah. It's great to be here.
And I would love if you could just take a moment to tell us a little bit more about the congregation, about what you do in regards to this school and the educational arm.
Sure.
Take it away.
Okay. Well, Or Emet is the Minnesota Congregation for Humanistic Judaism. And for those who don't know, we like to think of humanistic Judaism as kind of the fifth branch after Orthodox, Conservative, Reform, Reconstructivist, and then Humanist, which is the newest ranch, and it's basically focusing on the culture, the history, the values and ethics, very significantly, of Judaism. Jewish identity is very strong among our members, but for us, the more traditional religious trappings are less meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having said that, we have Shabbat services monthly. We have High Holy Day services. We do a community Seder that's attended by about 125 people every year. And so ritual and maintaining connections to our heritage, to our ancestors is really important to us. But it takes on a different meaning than a scriptural one in our community.
Sure.
We're 30 years old, 31 now, I guess. We celebrated our 30th anniversary last year.
Wonderful.
People ask often, where is Oramet? We don't have a building of our own. We have our Shabbat and High Holiday services right in this building at the Sabis Jewish Community Center. And then we have a Jewish Cultural School, our children's program, which meets monthly at the St. Paul Talmud Torah School.
Okay.
And that's on a Sunday morning, and while the kids from preschool through bar mitzvah preparation, and we do offer a robust bar mitzvah program, while the students are attending that, adults, parents, and other adults who join us have an adult program, which always includes a speaker or a panel. This next Sunday, in fact, we have what I think is going to be a very exciting panel. But it will be on the relationships between the Jewish and the African American communities, and how we can work collaboratively in terms of social change and social justice issues. And we really are looking forward to that. So that's kind of what the things we do and who we are.
Thank you. That sounds really incredible. Very important work.
And we are back for our last, the final interview of the day. David Harris from Ramon, the Minnesota Jewish Arts Council. Welcome.
Glad to be here, and glad to be the last one of the day to put the little period at the end of the sentence.
That's right. So tell us, for those who don't know, what is Ramon and what is the work that you do?
So Ramon is the Minnesota Jewish Arts Council. We've been in business since 1995, so we're celebrating 25 years this year. We are a funder for artists and institutions interested in working with artists. We are an educator. We're advocating for the arts all the time. We bring artists into the center of the community's life.
What's the Jewish art scene specifically like in Minnesota?
It's rich. So as you can imagine, this is one of the arts meccas in the United States. So the Jewish arts community is no different. Each of the art forms is rich in talented artists, young and old, and Ramon supports artists at every stage of their working life, from just beginning early career artists to very seasoned artists, as well as working with seniors and with teens. That's an important emphasis for us as well.
So remember when I said we were done? I lied.
Not yet.
We're not done. After this, we're done. But first, we have Drea Lear.
Hey, everybody.
From Herzl Camp.
Woohoo! Herzl Camp.
So, Drea, as if there are people that don't know, but let's pretend there are some people who don't know.
There likely are people who don't know.
There probably are people who don't know.
Yeah.
I'm biased because my kids are campers and I work down the hall from you. But
correct.
For those who may not know, what is Herzl Camp?
So Herzl Camp was established in 1946 here in the Midwest, actually out of St. Paul. So give it up, St. Paul. Woohoo! And we were built as an independent Jewish camp built on Zionist beliefs. So, we're a traditional overnight camp, serving campers from all across the Midwest. And we also have a contingent that comes from Israel, campers and staff. We now have campers that come from really all over the country, children of alumni and friends and all of that. And we're the community residential summer camp in the Twin Cities.
You said it was founded as independent. Is it hard to remain independent as opposed to more movement driven?
So over the years, yeah, we are, in the field of Jewish camping, the independent camps are considered a little bit of an anomaly, because as the movements picked up, and we were founded around the same time as some of the movement camps. They've got their educational philosophy. They have all sorts of beautiful resources at their disposal. And so, yeah, independent camps can be a little bit more amorphous in that. And one of the things that we love about it is that it gives us the opportunity to build Jewish life around our community, and to hopefully open up the doors for people who celebrate their Judaism in a variety of different ways.
Thanks again to Sarah for co-hosting this episode with me. Thanks again to everybody who came in from across the Twin Cities to talk about their organizations and show off the meaningful work that each of them does for the community. TC Jew Folks' role in all this is the same role that we have every day, which is helping to amplify the voices of the community organizations and help get their messages out in front of the community whenever possible. So we hope you enjoy this episode. Happy New Year, and we will see you in 2020. The Who the Folk podcast is a product of Jew Folk Inc. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. If you have a suggestion of someone who should be on the show, please email me at editor@tcjewfolk.com. Also, go to tcjewfolk.com/podcast to listen to our new shows, We Won, Let's Eat, the Jewish Food Podcast, and The Jews Are Tired, a weekly recap of Jewish news through an analytical lens. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.